The row between the British National Party and a group of Britain's top generals has intensified tonight. It began with the generals criticising the BNP leader for using military symbols such as the Spitfire to promote his party. Mr Griffin retaliated, likening the army chiefs to the kind of Nazi war criminals that were hanged at Nuremberg. Our political editor, Nick Robinson, reports.
Both these men were head of the British Army. Both served their country right around the world. Both generals, Sir Mike Jackson and Sir Richard Dannatt, were today compared by the British National Party with Nazi war criminals.
Wilhelm Keitel.
They should remember the fate of Hitler's generals at the Nuremberg trials, the BNP's leader said. They had waged an illegal aggressive war like those, he claimed, waged in Iraq and Afghanistan. The BNP's own website said their leader wanted British generals who criticised his party to remember the German generals who were hanged for their crimes.
The BNP would destroy our country. Don't give them your vote.
This extraordinary row began thanks to this anti-BNP campaign, which accuses the party of hijacking Britain's military heritage and claims there's nothing British about the BNP.
Well, to me, the Spitfire is the essence of Britain. It's a lot of good lads lost their lives flying Spitfires to protect Britain. And it belongs to the people of Britain, not to any political party.
Four senior military figures, Lord Guthrie, Generals Jackson and Dannatt and Major General Patrick Cordingley, today signed an open letter in which they said the reputation of Britain's armed forces is being tarnished by political extremists who are attempting to appropriate it for their own dubious ends. Nick Griffin, the leader of the BNP, today compared himself with Winston Churchill, precisely the sort of comparison that has so angered many war veterans. Now, they were urged on, of course, by leading Tory activists who have concluded that ignoring the BNP, appeasing them even, is simply not working, and that instead it is time, in their words, to fight and defeat the British National Party.
Nick Griffin.
Nick Griffin evoked the Battle of Britain in his successful campaign to become a Euro MP, even though it's since emerged that the poster behind him is of a Polish pilot in a Polish Spitfire. Tonight I asked him to justify linking British generals with Nazi war criminals.
It's a fact that generals were hanged at Nuremberg for having obeyed orders, which is what they did. I'm saying I don't believe that our generals, who undoubtedly in those wars behaved very bravely and so on and led our troops well, I don't believe that they should face trial. I think the politicians should face trial, but the generals should beware of getting involved in politics.
On your website you are quoted as linking with the Nazi generals who were hanged at the Nuremberg trials.
And I would have thought that the BBC was sophisticated enough to recognise a little bit of black humour, which is what that is.
Oh, it was a joke?
It's a little bit of dark black humour, yes, because they've been having a go at me all day. They're working not to their own agenda, these people are intimately linked with the Conservative Party, so they've made the decision to play rough politics so they can have some rough politics back.
After his election, the BBC controversially invited Mr Griffin onto this week's Question Time. All mainstream politicians are grappling with how to handle a party which today described as disgusting Gordon Brown's launch of the Poppy Day appeal. This week will test the old maxim, is all publicity good publicity? Nick Robinson, BBC News, Westminster.
More than 28 years after the first space shuttle blasted into orbit, NASA has unveiled the new design of rocket it hopes will replace it. The agency would like it to herald a new era of manned space exploration with missions to the moon and possibly beyond. But as our science correspondent Palab Ghosh reports, budget cuts could well see these lofty ambitions put on hold.
All set up, but has NASA's new rocket got anywhere to go? The Ares 1X is a prototype for a new fleet of spacecraft to take Americans back to the Moon, Mars and beyond. But can America afford to send its astronauts to other worlds?
Ignition, we have liftoff. Liftoff confirmed. Copy liftoff.
Next week, NASA will be launching the rocket on a short 2-minute unmanned journey to test its systems.
We've installed about 150 sensors in the simulated crew module and launch abort system. As they're at the tip of the rocket, they're key in capturing all the data of the rocket's performance.
This simulation shows the rocket in action. The design is very much like the system that took astronauts to the moon 40 years ago. The Ares is based on the Saturn V rocket. At 111 metres high, it's the tallest, most powerful rocket ever built. The new system comes in two parts. The Ares 1, slimmed down but almost as tall, is designed to take astronauts into Earth's orbit. And the bigger, more powerful Ares 5 is able to launch heavy-duty equipment to the moon.
Roger, you're a go.
40 years ago, NASA spent more than 5% of America's national income on its moon missions.
That's one small step for man.
That's something that experts say that the US simply can't afford to do today.
I think under the present circumstances, the moon programme is looking very unlikely, just for financial reasons. And it pains me to say this, but I think in my lifetime now, we probably won't be going back to the moon.
As Ares makes its public debut, a White House panel of experts will give its verdict later this week on whether the project should continue, be cut back or cancelled entirely. Palab Ghosh, BBC News.
Hello, good evening. First, police in Luton are warning that an estate where a drug dealer was gunned down is at tipping point. Richard Long, who was 23, was murdered at the beginning of September on the Lucy Farm estate. But witnesses to the shooting have been hard to find. The police say help is needed to drive out a dangerous criminal minority.
7 weeks since Richard Long was shot dead. 2 have been charged, but police are struggling.
There's clearly an area where somebody else could have got caught literally in the crossfire of this incident.
They fear local people don't have the courage to deliver convictions.
It's a choice now that people need to make. Assist the police with this inquiry. There have been 2 arrests and 2 people charged, but we need people still to come forward with key and crucial pieces of evidence.
10 days after the shooting, 14 people were arrested in drug raids, the result of months of planning. But local people aren't convinced.
They've not been here for years and years and years to help. We've got junkies that are selling on the streets, that are picking up drugs in front of our children, up at our local communities, hounding old people for money. There's stabbings, there's shootings. It's just, they've not been here, because if they were here, this wouldn't be happening. The only thing that you'll get is a PCSO that will come and knock at your door, write a form, a bit of paper, and then it'll be buried.
There's some very positive results have taken place. 14 people were arrested for drugs warrants. Firearms have been recovered, and in fact there's been a 16% reduction in crime year on year this year.
But even today, deals were being done in broad daylight, drugs found literally on the street.
Well, I've just spoken to the grandmother of a 16-year-old who witnessed the shooting. She did talk to police, but then cried for 24 hours afterwards and was in such a state she had to go to the doctor and be put on medication. Apparently her mother says there's no way she'll be giving a witness statement.
But these are the people police need to help them help Lucy Farm. Nikki Jenkins, BBC Look East.
And have you ever heard of these streets paved with lard? Well, I didn't think so. The first national trial to test the use of chip fat in road resurfacing has taken place in Bedfordshire. It's hoped Vegitex will help reduce the amount of oil that's sent to landfill.
The chips look good, but the wasted oil can take years to disintegrate. Until now, it's usually gone to landfill, and it's recently been used in biofuel production. But now there's a third possibility: the road network.
The oil is obviously produced as a waste from the restaurants. It's filtered, just takes out the solid content. We take it in at the asphalt plants, and then we would blend it in line with the bitumen. This is the first part of the process. We've worked for 2 years in the laboratory. This is our first trial, and yeah, fingers crossed everything will roll out.
The cost of road resurfacing with bitumen is on the rise and isn't energy efficient. This new alternative mixes bitumen with 20% of used oil, requiring less energy to heat. It was tested today on this road in Bedfordshire. Now all that's left is to see if it works.
It's already been through a variety of tests, and this now will say to us, yes, we can go ahead with it. But we'll monitor this bit of road that we're doing. They know what sort of traffic is going to use it. So very shortly we'll have those results, and we're absolutely sure that it will say, yeah, go ahead and use it throughout the county.
Patents are currently pending for the concept, and if it's successful, industry experts claim Vegitex could have a substantial impact on the industry. James Burridge, BBC Look East in Bedfordshire.